Good evening, everyone. Continuing with 3 minutes of Tehillim, we are up to Perek Nun Tes, Psalm 59. In this Perek, following the theme that we've been seeing up until now, we have David HaMelech experiencing betrayal by Shaul, by his officers, by his whole entourage. And there's a number of descriptions of enemies that come in this Perek. David HaMelech uses actually 4 different ways to describe enemies. He says, Hatzilini mi oivai Elokai. Hashem, save me from my enemies. Oyev is a very common term for enemy. He says in Pasuk Gimel, Hatzilini mi pole oven, o mi anshi damim. Save me from the evildoers and the people and the men of blood. And then finally, he refers to the Bogdei Avon, or Bogdei Oven, the betrayers of evil. Why 4 different languages? So some point to the 4 Malchios, the 4 kingdoms that the Jewish people have experienced exile throughout our history. The first was Bavel, then we have Persia, and then we have Yavan and Edom. Edom currently are still in the exile of Edom. So perhaps there are these 4 exiles referred to in 4 different languages of enemies in this particular Perek. But then he says, referring to Shaul, seemingly, he refers to those who deny God. In Pasuk Ches, he says, "Hine yabiun b'fiem." They say with their mouths, "Charavos b'sifsosein ki mi shomea." They think, or they say sharp words, and they think, "Who's going to hear this?" Seemingly referring to Shaul, denying the fact that God will see his actions, which is very strange. The Mefarshim point out, because Shaul, even though he was an enemy of David, but he wasn't a denier of God. So who is he referring to in this Perek? So some Mefarshim actually say he's talking about the Philistines, the Plishtim, who often attacked through this whole episode. A few Perakim ago, if you recall, David HaMelech was almost killed. He was about to be killed, and then the Philistines attacked. And in that moment, Shaul was diverted. His attention was diverted to fighting the Philistines. So why are the Philistines always attacking? So perhaps they are attacking because when they see Shaul embroiled in an internal war with his own son-in-law, in his own general, they think, now's a good time to attack. They're weak. Their society is falling apart. It's unraveling. Now we're going to attack. So therefore, you see, in all the stories with Shaul and David, lurking in the background are all of the enemies beyond just the internal civil war that's going on. And that's when the Philistines attack. And perhaps this is a message combining both the 4 Malchios and the idea of David HaMelech talking about the Plishtim. The message is that throughout our Golos, throughout the different exiles we've gone through, the time where we're weakest is when we're fighting with each other. The time that the enemy seeks to attack us is when we can't get along with each other. But if we do, then we can be strong. And the Ema Banim Smicha actually makes this point. Rabbi Yisachar Shlomo Tachtel, he points out in his Ema Banim Smicha in Chelik Dalet, in the 4th section, which is actually called, it's talking about Achdus, Perek HaAchdus V'Hashalom. It's the Perek of unity and peace. And he says, based on a medrash in Eicha and a number of Mefarshim, he says this exact point. He says that the main chisaron of Achdus in Am Yisrael, he says, Gar malanu es hachurban. That's what causes the destruction, not our enemies, but the internal pirud, the internal pirud, the internal divisions that happen. He says, if we can become those who are metakin that, if we can work on having our internal, our brothers and our sisters, and we understand, we just went through a Tisha B'Av, that we are brothers and sisters, and that we all together, even if we disagree, that then we'll be strong, and then we will not invite our enemies to think that we're weak, and we'll be able to end the Galus and Mirz Hashem and come together with the coming of Mashiach. Mehir v'Aminu. Amen.